Have you experienced yourself as being a needy person, or have you been described as being needy? My name is Heather Feather. I am the owner of Rare Bird Medicine, and today's topic is the needy. I would say for the first several decades of my life, I definitely had experience of that, wanting validation, being a people pleaser. It was most intense in my first 2 to 3 decades. And as I age, and I think most people experience this, as you age, and they say the brain fully develops at around the age of 32. My mom used to always say you're not grown until you're 30. So once you have a grown adult brain that goes through its final major change to be grown in the way it operates, you may start to recognize less need. And that, in my experience, as one ages, continues to develop. My mom used to say, your teenage years are going to be one of the hardest experiences of your life. Your body's full of hormones. You're trying to understand and also gain independence. Once you get into your 20s, you're going to be real invested in what your career is. Once you get into your 30s, you're going to be more involved in how can my career or how can what I do make a difference in the world. Once you get into your 40s, life kind of comes full circle and you recognize more of the nature of life being the surprise that happens while you've been making plans. Once you get into your 50s, you stop caring as much what other people think. And once you're in your 60s, you literally will not care what anyone thinks ever again. And when I was a little kid, I always wanted to be an old lady. I was like, 60 plus sounds awesome. Can I quantum jump to 60 plus, please? I've always wanted to be an old lady. I've always liked elders, probably for that reason. They're very candid, very honest, like children, and people tend to want to do the societal appeasing thing in between very young people and very old people, in my experience. I can say, though, that at this juncture, I do not feel needy at all. I don't need a partner. I do welcome a divine masculine, but I don't need it. I can easily spend this life alone. I don't need validation. I don't need anyone to validate me. I know my value and worth. It's taken me a long time to shine light on it because I've been in a lot of weird experiences with people where people are trying to make sure I don't see the magnitude of who I am because, God forbid, I be such a bright light in the room. And I see it now, so there's no taking it from me. I know my gifts. I've worked with them for 5 decades. I know who I am. I know what I have to offer. I also know my evolution work. So I also don't need your tiny opinion of me either. You got a small opinion of me? You think you need to educate me? Well, I'd say focus up on your own paper. That's what I'm doing. You can trust Spirit's going to educate me because I work for Spirit. I don't need to fight with anybody. And I don't recommend it for people. I keep telling people, all of my atoms, my tongue, my hands, my eyes, my ears, my nose are devoted to divinity. I am surrendered to divinity. And so people often want to come into my realm and have this small perception of me, and then they think we need to battle. Heather's not interested in it. I literally will turn away and never look back. I'm not a part of your fight. You know what I mean? I'm not a part of that. You want to go to war with me? Do you know what I'll bring to the battle? I'll bring peace and my eternality. Let's see how this goes. I'll bring peace and my eternality, which you can never take from me. Fight all you want, but I'm going to win because I am connected to the truth that I've been studying for lifetimes, and I'm not interested in the small idea of holding me small or holding the world small. That's not the work that I'm up to. What I feel I've never liked the word need as a general rule, and it's escalated as I've aged because people are like, well, I need to stay alive. No, you don't. You're going to die no matter what. You may want to stay alive and have food, but without it, you're going to die. And if you have it, you're still eventually going to die. So everything we consider a need in this realm is actually just a desire. That's what we would like to have happen. And it's not what is required. There are those that will starve to death today. So, I don't really relate to the word need. I did in my youth a lot more, and I felt like I needed so much. And Heather Feather has finally come to a level of awareness of who and what I am, and recognizing that I am surrendered to Spirit, surrendered to Creator, surrendered to the designer back of the creation. And I know that the sun will rise, that it is always going to provide me exactly what I need to evolve, to grow, to recognize my gifts so that I might share them with the world, every morsel of food, every drop of drink to quench thirst. I don't have need anymore. I finally have completely surrendered to my beliefs. And my experience as somebody who spends a considerable amount of time alone is that the room is always full for me. And I've struggled sometimes with relationships, not even just romantic, familial relationships, romantic relationships, friendships, because from my philosophy, any of you in the river of my life, I've had many, many lifetimes with you. Many, many lifetimes. And to me, time and space is a delusion. So we're having those lifetimes in the past, in the future. I'm in all these different iterations of incarnation with you. And in this life, I have some very big work that I wanted to be up to called creating a mystical college of magic and medicine and mysticism that will extend into humanity's offering of opportunity of evolution and awareness beyond me dropping into the grave and being done with this flesh costume one day. And to create a college is a big thing to birth into. It's no small vision. And it's not my first lifetime creating a mystery school, but because I have this vision, it's like there are some people that are very needy to receive validation. They're very needy to receive attention. In my experience, those people have a tendency to ignore the self and ignore the life. If you need a lot of attention, it's because you're not giving yourself attention. If you would give yourself your undivided attention, you wouldn't need as much attention from others. Those that ignore the self try to get the validation they refuse to give to the self from the outer world. And it's a tricky thing to do because Eleanor Roosevelt said something once about no matter what you do, there are people that are still going to judge you. There are people in this world that no matter what you do, how you behave, no matter how many pretzels of love you bend yourself into to show the truth of your authentic being, plenty can still project onto you that you're fear, that you're small, that you're, whatever kind of tiny mad idea they want to have of you. They can still choose to not see you. They can still choose to not speak truth over you into other ears, into their own awareness. And whether they see you or not, it will never change the truth of your being. Ever, And so I, as an autistic person, have this strange relationship to the thing called relationships because although it is my destiny to ultimately have a community of like minds that are equally yoked that will be involved in this college, and I'm using a lot of my independent individual energy to create it this year as I disconnect from others so that I can use my attention to manifest what I intend to manifest, which requires my attention. I don't have the same relationship to it. I've studied A Course in Miracles for decades, and A Course in Miracles is about not having special love. Do you give the same amount of love to a cashier or to a stranger that you would to a lover or a family member? Most two-leggeds will not. Well, Heather's been practicing that for decades. I'm practicing agape, unconditional love, presence, attention, being kind. It's tricky because I am connected to the spirit realm at all times, and am in many places as I walk through a space. But I do my best to get in my body, be present, be aware, and be loving kind with those that I've connected to down here. But it doesn't mean that I don't need my attention. If there's anything that I desire that we could say is close to a need for Heather Feather, it's her attention. I need my attention because I'm trying to make books and create a college and build a vision and have a foundation where I buy land and I have properties and I'm able to have people come and live on the land and go to school. Like all of those things are huge, huge manifestations to birth into this realm. If you've ever wanted to create an entire set of textbooks for a 4-year college and make it accredited, you would understand how much work can be involved with that and how much your attention would be required to have it come into form. But because I know my relationships with everyone in the garden of life are eternal, because I know in my experience that we infinitely incarnate together, I think there's a tremendous weighty burden of proof around reincarnation being the truth. I think that's even what Yeshua ben Joseph or Jesus, the Christed one, was pointing to with the resurrection. I don't need as much one-on-one interaction. Like I don't need you to give me attention. I love you whether I share attention with you or not. I love you whether I show up or not. I think of you and pray for you whether you see it or not. You know what I mean? But it's a funny thing to me today to feel needy because it's like, what do I need? Spirit provides all. I don't need anything. What is it that you need? And is it possible that the needs that you're experiencing are pointing to things that might serve you to give yourself in this life? You can always subscribe to Rare Bird Medicine on YouTube. Amun.